Pick one sister human, the other will be executed now. A survivor's most impossible choice. HFY. The battlefield burned red with fire. The alien war camp shook with every explosion that ripped through the horizon. Metal walls groaned, scorched by flames, and the sky above was painted black with smoke. Human resistance bombers thundered overhead, dropping fire upon the alien fortress, their blasts shaking the ground like a living earthquake. In the middle of this chaos, one man stood in chains. Kale, a survivor, a soldier, and now a prisoner. His wrists were bound in glowing plasma cuffs, the heat burning into his skin. His face was smeared with blood and ash, but his eyes still carried defiance. He was dragged before the towering figure of the Zeroth warlord, a creature of shadows and steel. The alien's 6 burning eyes glared down at him, its long blade shimmering with green fire. Around the warlord, alien soldiers clicked their weapons, their rifles humming with lethal energy, and behind them, 2 cages stood in the darkness. From one cage, a scream pierced Kale's soul, his younger sister Alira, her face pale, her hands gripping the bars. From the other, his elder sister Mirren, bruised and exhausted, but still glaring at the warlord with unbroken spirit. The warlord's voice boomed like thunder, vibrating through the air. Pick one, human. One will live. The other will die now. The words froze Kale's blood. His mind screamed in panic. His sisters. Both here, both helpless. How could he choose? Another explosion tore through the camp walls, blasting stone and metal into the air. Fire rained down. Human fighters had reached the edge of the fortress. Kale's heart raced. He knew his people were fighting, dying, trying to free him. But the warlord's cruel demand gave him no time. He had seconds to speak. Seconds to decide. Marin's voice cried out, hoarse but strong. Kale, don't you dare choose me. Save Alira. She's young, no. Alira screamed from the other cage, tears streaming down her face. Don't listen. Save Marin, she can lead. She's strong. Their voices collided, both desperate, both willing to sacrifice themselves. Kale's head spun. His body shook. The warlord tilted its blade, the edge glowing brighter. Choose human, or I will end them both. Kale's breath caught in his throat. His mind raced. He remembered the nights they had spent together, the laughter, the promises he had made to protect them. How could one man decide which sister lived, and which died? Outside, the battle raged louder. The fortress walls cracked as bombs ripped through them. A massive fireball lit the night, shaking the chamber until the ceiling rained down burning debris. Alien soldiers scrambled, shouting in their guttural tongue, trying to hold the line. But inside, all Kale could hear were his sister's cries. He tried to speak. His lips trembled. I can't. The warlord's eyes narrowed. Its clawed hand raised the blade high above Marin's cage. Then she dies first. Kale screamed. But before the blade could fall, the chamber exploded with thunder. A bomb tore through the fortress ceiling, blasting open the roof. Fire, smoke, and shards of steel rained down. Alien soldiers were thrown to the ground, screaming. One of the cages split open as rubble crashed down. Alira tumbled free, coughing and crying in the smoke. The warlord roared in fury, its massive frame pushing through the fire. Its blade slashed at Kale, cutting the air inches from his throat. The blast had freed Alira, but Marin's cage still stood locked, flames licking around it. Kale's heart pounded. His chance was here, but his chains still bound him. He pulled with every ounce of strength, the plasma cuffs searing into his skin. His arms shook, blood dripping, but the cuffs held. He could not break them. Alira crawled toward him, screaming his name. But alien soldiers surged forward, rifles crackling, their boots pounding against the cracked floor. They raised their weapons toward her. No, Kale shouted, throwing himself forward. Desperate to shield her, though he was bound. A fireball blasted through the wall behind them, hurling soldiers into the flames. Human fighters stormed in ragged, covered in ash, wielding rifles and explosives. The resistance had broken through. Gunfire echoed. Grenades exploded. The chamber became a storm of chaos. But through it all, the warlord still stood, untouched by fire, towering above them like a monster born of war itself. Its 6 eyes locked onto Kale. "You cannot escape fate, human." It lunged, swinging its burning blade. Kale ducked, the weapon slicing the air so close he felt the heat on his cheek. He staggered back, chains rattling. Behind him, Alira screamed as alien soldiers dragged her by the arm, pulling her away. Kale's mind was fire. His blood was ice. He had to choose. If he saved Alira, Marin would die in the flames. If he tried to reach Marin, Alira would be dragged into the shadows. The warlord's voice thundered again. "Choose, human, or lose them both." Smoke filled Kale's lungs. His chest heaved. He could see Marin inside the cage, the fire climbing higher, her face glowing red in the flames. She gripped the bars, her eyes meeting his. She mouthed words he could not hear, but he knew what she was saying. Save her. Save Alira. And Alira's terrified cries echoed from the darkness as she struggled against alien hands. Her voice pierced him like a blade. "Brother, don't let me go." The ground shook again. Another explosion ripped open the chamber. A support beam crashed down, splitting the floor in two. Fire roared higher, smoke blinded his eyes. The war was breaking the fortress apart. Time was gone. Kale screamed into the chaos, his voice raw, his body breaking. "No, I won't choose." The warlord snarled, raising its blade to strike both cages at once. The alien's muscles tensed, its weapon ready to end everything, and then the impossible happened. A blast from outside struck the fortress, a weapon so powerful it tore half the chamber apart. The ground collapsed, swallowing cages, soldiers, and fire into a chasm of rubble. Kale felt the world tilt, his body thrown into darkness. He crashed into stone, chains biting into his wrists, his mind swimming in fire and smoke. When his vision cleared, the warlord was gone, buried under tons of wreckage. The chamber was half destroyed. Flames crackled in the distance. And in the rubble, Kale heard 2 voices. One weak, one desperate. Both alive, his sisters. Both still breathing. Both still here. But the walls were collapsing, the fire spreading fast. Kale's body shook as he tried to crawl toward them, his chains dragging behind him. He could not save both. The fortress would fall in seconds. His heart pounded louder than the bombs outside. He could hear his sisters crying out his name, begging for him to come. He was seconds away from the moment that would define his life. It's a moment no man could ever be ready for. And then, in the smoke, in the fire, Kale raised his head and prepared to make the choice that would change not just his family's fate, but the fate of the entire human resistance. The execution hall shook like a dying beast. The air was thick with smoke and dust, the walls trembling as fire from human bombers rained across the alien fortress above. Flames licked the edges of broken stone pillars, and cracks snaked across the ground. The war was already here, outside and inside, but the real battle was not fought with weapons. It was fought in the heart of one man. Kale, a captured human fighter, stood in the center of the chamber. His wrists were bound in glowing cuffs that burned against his skin, his knees pressed into the cracked floor. Blood streaked his face, his breathing heavy. Around him, the alien soldiers of the Zyrith Dominion formed a circle, their tall frames looming over him, their rifles humming with deadly energy. 2 cages stood on opposite sides of the room. In one was Alira, Kale's younger sister, her hair matted with blood, her terrified eyes locked on him. In the other was Marin, his older sister, bruised and pale but unbroken. Her jaw clenched with defiance even as she trembled in the IGHT. At the center of it all stood the alien commander. Twice Kale's height, its skin was plated with black armor like a living machine. Its eyes glowed like coals. It raised a clawed hand and pointed at Kale. Its voice thundered through the chamber, echoing off stone walls. One will live. One will die. Choose, human. Choose now. Kale's heart stopped. His throat dried. His sisters cried out, voices broken, each one begging him not to choose them. The commander's words were a cruel trap, a twisted game of alien cruelty. Kale knew, deep inside that no matter which sister he named, the commander would win. Humanity would lose. Outside, the fortress walls shook as another bombing run hit. Fire crashed down from the ceiling, sparks raining across the soldiers. Screams filled the air as part of the wall gave way, rubble crushing several aliens. But the commander didn't move. Its glowing eyes never left Kale. Moran shouted, her voice hoarse but strong. Kale, don't choose me. Save Alira. She has a future. Alira shook her head violently, tears streaking down her face. No, save Marin. She's the leader we need her. Their words tore into him. His blood ran cold. He wanted to scream, to beg for mercy. But he knew mercy did not exist here. The commander stepped closer, its heavy footsteps shaking the ground. You hesitate. Do you think this is mercy? Mercy is weakness. Choose or both die in front of you. Kale's mind raced. He could not let them die. He would not let this monster win. But every path was a dead end. He could feel it. This was more than just cruelty. This was a trap. If he chose one, the commander would kill the other anyway, and humanity's hope would be broken. The aliens would broadcast his choice, show him as the man who betrayed his own family. They wanted to crush his spirit hand, his peoples. Another explosion tore through the fortress above. Dust rained from the ceiling, cracks spreading wider. Alien soldiers barked orders, their rifles raised as human resistance fighters tried to break through the outer gates. Gunfire echoed faintly in the distance. The commander raised its massive blade, the weapon glowing with a sickly green light. It pointed the edge at Alira's cage first. She dies in 5 breaths if you do not speak. Kale's chest heaved. He screamed, his voice breaking. Stop! Don't do this! The commander tilted its head, its voice colder than death. Then choose. Your words are the blade. Kale's mind screamed. His heart pounded. He could not. He would not. But then a sharp click. A sound beneath the rubble. Kale's ears caught it, faint but clear. He froze. His eyes darted to the cracked stone near the commander's feet. A hidden detonator. A human bomb buried in the floor. The realization hit him like lightning. The resistance had planted charges. The hall itself was a trap, but not for him. For the aliens. Kale's lips trembled. Sweat ran down his face. If that bomb exploded, it would kill everyone in the chamber. His sisters. The aliens. Him, but maybe. Maybe it was the only chance to break the trap. The commander's voice thundered again. Choose now. Kale looked at Alira, at Marin. Their eyes burned into his soul. His body shook, every muscle torn between love and duty. His voice cracked as he whispered, I can't. The commander roared in rage and raised its blade to strike, and then the floor erupted. The bomb detonated with a scream of fire. The entire hall shook, as if the earth itself had split. A blast wave hurled soldiers into the air, ripping the cages apart. Stone and steel shattered. Flames devoured everything. Kale was thrown across the chamber, his cuffs sparking as he slammed into rubble. His head spun, his ears ringing. Smoke choked his lungs. The chamber was chaos, flames roaring, soldiers screaming, beams crashing down in showers of sparks. Through the fire he heard his sisters. Both of them alive, screaming his name. Kale. He staggered up, his body weak, blood dripping from his wounds. His chains still bound him, but he dragged himself forward. Crawling across shattered stone and broken alien weapons, Alira was pinned under rubble, coughing, her hands reaching out. Marin was half buried in the collapsed cage, blood streaking her face, but still alive, still fighting to free herself. Both of them needed him. Both of them were seconds from death. The fortress groaned, its ceiling splitting open, flames spreading faster. Alien survivors stumbled in the smoke, their weapons sparking. Some screamed for reinforcements, others fired wildly into the darkness. Kale's heart raced. He had seconds. Only seconds. The commander rose from the flames. Its armor cracked, but its body still towering, its eyes still burning with hatred. The alien roared, stepping forward through the fire, its blade raised high. "You think you can cheat fate, human?" It bellowed. "Fate cannot be denied." Kale's body trembled. He turned to Alira, to Marin, both trapped, both desperate. His lungs burned as he screamed, "Hold on. I'm coming." But the commander was already charging. Its blade cut through the fire, slicing the air. The ceiling above began to collapse. The ground shook as another explosion ripped through the fortress. Kale's blood froze. He realized the truth. The trap was not over. The aliens had planned this. The humans had planted bombs. But neither side cared if his sisters lived. He was nothing but a pawn in a war that would swallow them all. And yet he refused to bow. He pulled against his chains until his skin tore, his arms bleeding. He roared with fury, a sound that cut through fire and chaos, and then he felt the plasma cuff spark, weaken, and finally break. He was free. The commander's blade fell toward him. The fire roared louder. His sister screamed louder, and Kale moved, throwing himself into the impossible choice that would decide not only who lived, whether humanity's spirit could survive the night. The earth was dying. Cities burned like torches in the night, their steel skeletons glowing red in endless fire. Smoke climbed into the skies, mixing with the wreckage of human and alien ships that still smoldered in orbit. The Zyrith Dominion had come like a shadow, sweeping across the planet with armies and war machines. Humanity had fought back, but they were broken, scattered, clinging to survival on the edge of a battlefield of ruins. A scene of cruel theater unfolded. Kale, a human soldier who had become a symbol of defiance, was dragged into the heart of the alien lines. His body was battered, his wrists bound in burning plasma cuffs, but his eyes were still alive with fire. Soldiers shoved him to his knees before a throne of black steel carried onto the field. Sitting upon it was the Emperor of the Zyrith, a creature of both flesh and machine. Its armor fused into its body, its 6 eyes glowing with cold hunger. Around it stood dozens of alien guards, their rifles humming with deadly power, and in front of Kale, chained to the ground on either side, were his sisters, Zalira and Marin. Alira's face was pale with fear, her hands bloody from trying to break her bonds. Marin, though bruised and weak, still held her head high, glaring at the Emperor with unbroken will. The Emperor's voice boomed across the battlefield, amplified by loudspeakers that echoed through the ruins. "Human, you are the spark of resistance. Your courage feeds your kind. Today that spark dies. Choose. One sister will live, the other dies." By your word, the words thundered through the night. Alien soldiers cheered, their voices a guttural roar. The sound carried across the battlefield, meant to break the spirits of any humans who still dared to fight. Kale's chest tightened. His heart pounded so hard he thought it might shatter. His sisters cried out, their voices trembling, begging him not to choose them. "Kale," Marin shouted, "don't you dare waste this on me. Save Alira. She still has a future." "No." Alira screamed, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Save Marin. She's strong. Humanity needs her." Their voices collided, breaking him inside. How could he decide? Every heartbeat was a knife in his chest. Above, alien warships circled like predators, preparing a final strike. The night sky glowed red as fire rained down in the distance. Human fighters were still battling, dropping bombs on alien tanks, launching missiles at warships. But Kale knew they were losing ground. He could hear the thunder of weapons, the screams of both sides, the earth shaking beneath his knees. The Emperor leaned forward, its 6 glowing eyes staring into Kale's soul. "Choose, or I kill them both. Your voice is the weapon. Your silence is their grave." Kale's lips trembled. He could not speak. He would not. The Emperor raised its massive blade, the weapon glowing green, humming with deadly energy. It aimed the edge toward Marin first. 5 breaths. Then she dies. Kale's heart screamed. His body shook. He could not let her die, but to speak was to damn the other. And then the battlefield erupted. A line of human commandos stormed from the ruins. Rockets firing, explosions tearing through the alien guards. Blasts of fire lit the night. Screams filled the air. The ground quaked with fury. The resistance had launched a desperate ambush. Grenades rolled across the dirt, ripping through soldiers. Smoke and dust rose in thick clouds. Human fighters charged with rifles blazing, their war cries cutting through the chaos. The Emperor roared, rising to its feet. Its voice was thunder. "Fools, you will all burn." The alien guards opened fire, their weapons spitting streams of plasma. Humans fell, burned alive, but still they fought, the rockets pounding the alien lines. Kale was thrown to the ground in the chaos, his cuffs sparking. He crawled toward his sisters, his lungs burning with smoke, his ears deafened by explosions. Alira screamed his name, her chains rattling as she struggled to break free. Marin reached out, her eyes wild with desperation, but the Emperor's massive frame stepped forward. Blade raised high, ready to cut them both down. Kale roared, straining against his cuffs, blood streaming from his wrists. His muscles burned, his body breaking, but he pulled with everything he had. Sparks flew. The plasma cuffs cracked. With a final scream of fury, the bond shattered. He was free. The Emperor's blade came down. Kale dove forward, slamming into his sister's chains, shielding her with his body. The blade smashed into the ground, sparks flying, missing them by inches. Gunfire raged around him, explosions tearing the battlefield apart. Kale's breath came in ragged gasps, his body shaking. He pulled at Alira's chains, ripping them against the broken steel until they snapped. She tumbled free into his arms, crying, clinging to him, but Marin was still bound. Flames licked closer, the Emperor towering above her, rage burning in its eyes. Kale's heart broke. He could save one, but not both. Not in time. The Emperor raised its blade again, pointing it at Marin. Choose now, human, or watch both burn. Kale's chest heaved. His blood pounded in his ears. His voice cracked. No, I won't choose. The Emperor's eyes flared with rage. It swung its blade down toward Marinan then. A rocket slammed into the Emperor's side. The blast tore through armor, flames engulfing the alien leader. The shockwave hurled Kale and Alira backward. Dust and smoke swallowed everything. The battlefield was a storm of fire and screams. When the smoke cleared, the Emperor still stood, burning, cracked, but alive. Its roar shook the earth. Its blade lifted again. Kale's eyes darted to Marin. Her chains were melting in the fire. She was almost free, but not fast enough. Time slowed. The war raged around him. Human commandos fell. Aliens roared. Explosions ripped through tanks and ships. The night was fire itself. Kale's heart screamed with a pain no weapon could match. He had seconds. Seconds to act. Seconds to decide. He held Alira close, his hand reaching toward Marin, his voice breaking as he shouted, "Hold on. I won't let you go." The Emperor's blade cut through the air. The ground shook with another massive explosion, and in that moment, in the smoke and fire, Kale was forced to face the truth. He could not save them both, and whatever choice he made next would decide not only his family's fate, but the fate of the entire human resistance,